the best deck in the format. It's Blue-Eyed Eldrazi.
Yeah, I think that Kiki Jiki is here the 5th member of the Gatewatch. That's what Jeff is representing here.
Gerry's going to start on Eye of Ugin. For Jeff, it is Birds of Paradise, both players with their signature starts.
Fast mana on both sides.
That's right. Kind of an interesting way to put it, right? Gerry's only costing 1 card, Jeff having to, cast a spell for that privilege.
Yep.
It's going to be Eldrazi Sky Spawner for Gerry.
These are both the type of effects that I look to first pick in a Vintage Cube draft. I would rather have the land than the Birds of Paradise, but some packs don't go your way.
On Gerry's side, looks like he's going to go for 3-drop. Does have his copy of Kiki Jiki already in the opener, so he won't have to cord to that. And how important is it for him just to combo quickly here?
It's going to be pretty important. Gerry both has access to some Dismembers, some Path to Exiles to disrupt Jeff, and also just the fact that Reality Smasher is dramatically larger than any creature that Jeff is putting on the board.
For Hoogland, Eternal Witness was the turn 2 play, getting back his Windswept Heath.
That heavily suggests that Jeff's hand is gas. This means he's probably missing his 3rd land drop otherwise. He says, I can use a Witness for this. That has to put off some red flags in Gerry.
Thought-Knot Seer is a play for Gerry Thompson. We see Jeff's hand. A Path to Exile, a Wall of Roots, a 2nd Eternal Witness, and then that 1 copy of Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker.
Yeah, so the 2nd Witness is not terribly surprising. Again, using that 1st Witness very aggressively to get back a land here.
Well, it does look like a board where Jeff can just Eternal Witness every turn right now.
Yeah, if the first one is dying, certainly when that Thought-Knot Seer starts attacking, you can just throw the Witness in front, play the next Witness, get back the 1st Witness. Less effective if a Reality Smasher shows up to play, but...
Yeah, Gerry will exile the Path to Exile and swing in for 2 with Sky Spawner. Of note, he actually had to use his Scion token to cast the Thought-Knot Seer. Gerry missed his 3rd land drop that turn.
Yeah, so that means that a Reality Smasher is going to be pretty far off. It would take minimally a top-decked Eldrazi Temple here.
For Hoogland, it is Courser of Kruphix off the top. He'll cast and reveal the top card, which is a 2nd copy of Wall of Roots. However, with his fetch land, he may shuffle that one away before he's forced to draw it.
Yeah, that's probably not what Jeff's going to be looking for here. I imagine that we'll be seeing that shuffle. Jeff wants to start working towards the combo. We saw that he already has the Kiki Jiki, so he wants to find a Restoration Angel or a Chord of Calling and force the action on Gerry's side.
You go back over to Thompson. His draw was Eldrazi Mimic. So he'll swing in with Sky Spawner, play the Mimic for free, and play Displacer. So despite being caught on 3 lands, gets to play 5 mana worth of spells that turn.
He's caught on 2 lands. So it's
all right, so 3 mana sources, 2 lands. You're right.
So yeah, 2 lands producing 5 mana creature is even more impressive.
Though for Hoogland, he's kept his life total high, ending the turn at 15. Or rather 16, thanks to Courser of Kruphix.
Yeah, not surprising to see him fetch away that Wall of Roots. Let's see if he can find some better action with his reveal here.
Standard.
Finds Voice of Resurgence on top, and they'll get to draw that one.
Voice of Resurgence matters more in this matchup than it might appear on its surface, just because the death trigger on the Voice makes a creature that's actually on par with the strength of the Eldrazi creatures.
Draw that, play a Horizon Canopy off the top. Kasali Pride Mage is waiting. And when you think about Jeff's hand, we know he has an Eternal Witness, a Voice of Resurgence, and a Kiki Jiki. There's actually a lot going on here for Jeff, I think, to bridge his way into the late game. He has a high enough life total as well.
Yeah, Jeff would be really thrilled if he had 3 red mana currently to be able to cast Kiki Jiki and just use Eternal Witness every turn. Right now, he only has the 1 red land in the Sacred Foundry and the Birds of Paradise for red, so he's a little off of casting Kiki Jiki currently, so that does limit his options some.
Looks like he may go for the 2 creatures then instead. We'll see which ones he wants to go for. It's going to be a Wall of Roots, and then that copy of Voice of Resurgence. And he'll pass. Jeff with a lot of great blockers here.
Yeah, his position is looking pretty strong. Gerry is able to get in chip shots in the air with the Sky Spawner, but that is rarely going to be enough to actually win a game in Modern. So Gerry needs to get more going from this position. Notably, the high toughness on Courser of Krufix and Wall of Roots, coupled with the incidental life gain and incremental life gain from the Courser, is going to make it pretty tough for Gerry to actually break through on the ground, at least over the course of only 1 or 2 turns.
Yeah, Eldrazi Sky Spawner hits in. That'll put Jeff down to 15. Gerry playing another copy of Eldrazi Mimic. Has no choice but to pass the turn. And things have turned toward Hoogland here. So he's going to Eternal Witness back. His Windswept Teeth. Play at that now. He may be able to get his 3rd red source off that.
Right, absolutely. And your top deck is a Birds of Paradise anyway. I like just getting the land back here. You don't want to draw that card.
Yeah, he does play a copy of Stomping Ground, so that's at the ready to join his Sacred Foundry and maybe help let him cast that Kiki-Jiki next turn.
Yeah, that is the other thing. We have access to 2 Eternal Witnesses. Just setting up the Kiki-Jiki, being able to copy one of those, you'll at least get 1 crack at it. So he's not really losing value on that play.
Play goes back over to Thompson, who picked up a copy of Eldrazi Temple, and none too soon, he'll cast a Thought-Knot Seer and get to exile that copy of Kiki-Jiki before Jeff can play it.
That was very timely for Gerry. That Kiki-Jiki was going to break this game wide open, as Kiki-Jiki is wont to do. They call him the breaker for a reason.
The board stall breaker, or the game winner. Both Eldrazi Mimics trigger, and now Gerry will go toward attacks. 2 4/4 Mimics and the 2/1 Eldrazi Sky Spawner all swing into the red zone.
Yeah, I like the attacks with the Mimics a lot here. Attacking with a Thought-Knot Seer is not very attractive. The Witnesses, the Voice Resurgence could jump in the front, and if that dies, it's bad. Gerry knows that these Mimics aren't doing anything on defense, so this attack makes a lot of sense.
Jeff's going to go ahead and fetch here. Not wanting to draw Birds of Paradise.
Really good in the opener, considerably less good as the game progresses. Yeah, with that Kiki-Jiki exiled, Jeff no longer needs that 3rd red source. That is the only copy in his deck.
Yeah, just the one. So we'll get a copy of Overgrown Tomb instead. You see the top card Spellskite now waits for Hoogland as he goes down to 10 on that turn. Draws Spellskite and has Court of Calling in the waiting. That's a big one if he can stay alive to get it. But he won't even wait there. He'll use Horizon Canopy to draw the Court of Calling off the top of the deck.
Horizon Canopy is quietly one of the best lands in Modern. It's hard to say that right now with so many Eye of Ugins and Eldrazi Temples floating around, but all of the decks that play Horizon Canopy are very happy to have the inclusion. Sometimes you see people play hexproof decks on a budget without Canopy, and it does significantly hinder the deck's power level.
And Horizon Canopy doesn't make colorless mana, however, which, you know, right now seems like kind of a liability in Modern.
And it costs a life anytime you need mana. There is downside, let's be clear.
No, but you're right, it's a great card. Hoogland will cast the Spellskite. Cast Kasali Pride Mage, and he's just amassing an army here. 7 creatures in play. It's enough to cord for 4.
Yeah, notably, with the Kiki-Jiki exiled right now, Jeff doesn't have a way to actually combo kill Gerry, so he's going to be looking for a way to actually value Gerry out of the game.
So one thing that he does have is he can just get Restoration Angels repeatedly, as they can flicker the Eternal Witness and he'll get back Court of Calling. Do that again.
Right.
He also has a one-of copy of Big Game Hunter in the main deck today, and that's certainly a nod to the Eldrazi decks.
Absolutely. The Court of Calling chain puts a lot of pressure on Gerry to kill Jeff quickly. Gerry is very far off of activating his Eye of Ugin, which is the only thing in his deck that even resembles that level of power.
His draw was another copy of Eldrazi Temple. Or I think it may have been another copy of Eye of Ugin, not as good here.
Now, the second Eye of Ugin is sometimes fine in the Urborg builds of the deck, but usually a dead draw for the blue-white builds.
Right. Looks like it actually is a second Temple, so he'll cast Drowner of Hope here. That will trigger both Eldrazi Mimics and net him 2 Scions.
So I may have spoke too soon about Gerry's level to generate a lot of value. He currently has Displacer and Drowner of Hope in play. That is the combo in the blue-white Eldrazi deck.
Yeah, that's definitely a way he can generate his own value. Now, Jeff does have Spellskite, so Jeff can try to stop some of the Displacer abilities, but with no blue mana outside of Bird's Paradise, that's actually a costly proposition for Jeff, too.
Mm-hmm. Chord of Calling for Big Game Hunter here will kill the Drowner, so that can break this up before Gerry's able to get started. So Jeff does have lines here.
He looks like he may make that play. Now, this is dangerous as it's tapping out a lot of Jeff's blockers. But he's going to get Orzhov Pontiff on 3. That will go ahead and kill both Eldrazi Mimics and the Sky Spawner before the Mimics turn into 5/5s.
Yeah, that's solid. That's a really good play to stop Gerry's current turn, but he's going to need more action from there to actually deal with the Drowner.
Well, hold on. If those are in play, okay, Gerry can force a lot of action here. He can try to tap out the Wall of Roots and Orzhov Pontiff. He can force Spellskite activations. Jeff will have to redirect, otherwise he's dead on this attack.
Right. Yeah, he's at 11, and Gerry had 11 power and board right here.
So thanks to Spellskite, Jeff's not dead here. But Gerry, like I said, can force Spellskite activations. And we see he may want to do just that.
Yeah, I believe that Jeff is empty-handed now, so it's very likely that Gerry is going to be able to untap and loop the Drowner next turn. Gerry just has to make sure that he's not dead on the crackback, which if you actually just add up the power of Jeff's creatures, they're pretty much just a bunch of 2-power creatures, so it doesn't look like he actually has a very formidable crackback.
Yeah. And here come the Eldrazi. 2 Thought-Knot Seers and an Eldrazi Displacer swing in. That is a lethal attack, and Jeff is going to have to block. Wall of Roots and Orzhov Pontiff, the only available blockers. And that Drowner play from Gerry was enough pressure that we were talking about how Jeff could, loop Chord of Callings with Restoration Angels. It was enough pressure by Gerry here that Jeff didn't have time to make value plays.
Right, yeah, that was huge for Gerry there. And we didn't see Gerry sacrifice the Scions. I think that the reason for that is that he's a little bit choked on mana, so activating Displacer twice a turn even, he's not there just yet. He only has access to 5 mana for that ability. So these Scions might matter a lot on a later turn where he actually knows he can get lethal damage in. All right. So here we see Jeff pick up a Path to Exile. That is actually quite timely for Jeff. Looks like he's... That's an interesting target. He's pathing to exile Thought-Knot Seer.
Well, there's a Chord of Calling on top of the deck, and he wants to draw it. So that path is going to get him the Chord, and a huge pair of draws for Hoogland. Not only does he have the removal spell, but also getting Chord, which was probably his best draw.
Yeah, Chord of Calling is huge here. Like you said, we'll be able to just Chord for Restoration Angel, blink Eternal Witness, get back Chord, generate a lot of flying power. Gerry's board is notably weak to flyers.
Jeff going to 6 that last turn, taking 3 off the Thought-Knot Seer, 2 off the Eldrazi Displacer. Less than normal because of the Orzhov Pontiff. And this Chord of Calling... Now Jeff has another one. We talked before about how it was untimely that Gerry burned through the first Chord of Calling.
Right.
I'll see if we can get through the second one. Now, there's no combo left in Jeff's deck. That Kiki-Jiki is exiled from a Thought-Knot Seer earlier on. Jeff will have to win with value.
Jeff has a lot to think about, and in fact, a lot of math to do with this Chord of Calling, because Gerry now is untapped with the ability to displace the Drowner of Hope. So Jeff has to be thinking about chording to just get big Game Hunter and taking care of the Drowner. But there's also a question of, can he chord for Restoration Angel and then get Chord back and also make big Game Hunter this turn? Right.
As much as as Gerry will let him, I imagine Jeff will get some number of Restoration Angels.
Right.
We will start here. It's a Chord of Calling for 4. Looks to be Restoration Angel.
Yeah, I'd be a little surprised to see an Obstinate Baloth or a Pia and Kieran Nalaar here.
Very nice for coverage. Jeff has actually organized his creatures list. He has sorted them by converted mana cost. Good job, Jeff.
Yeah.
Helping us out.
He has so many creatures that it goes into 2 columns, though. That's not the neatest, but it's acceptable.
I don't think I've ever registered a deck that went into 2 columns of creatures.
Yeah, not even close. Sometimes I struggle to get 4 lines.
Sometimes I just scribble out the name creatures and I just write more spells in that spot. Looks like he will just chord for Big Game Hunter. Nothing fancy here. It'll target Drowner of Hope. You're right. Had he gone for Restoration Angel to then get the chord back and get Big Game Hunter, he did risk being tapped out by Gerry.
Right, that's definitely true. Yeah, he did have 5 creatures on tap, so the Restoration Angel could blink a creature, and then you'd have 7 mana to chord again. But Gerry has a lot of on-tap mana here, so that's not a guarantee.
So, Big Game Hunter is attempting to take down Drowner of Hope. We'll see if Gerry wants to respond. If he sacrifices the Scions, Gerry could just blink the Drowner, I believe. But he will let Big Game Hunter, he'll let the Drowner of Hope get killed.
Yeah, he had 2 Scions on the untapped Hallowed Fountain here.
Well, if he has another Drowner in hand, which I believe he does, it may just be best for him to keep these Scions around.
Yeah, absolutely. This definitely telegraphs that Gerry has something. Drowner is actually the best possible something. And yeah, he's better off on assembling the actual critical mass of Scions that he needs to actually win this game.
For Jeff, it's another big draw. This time it's Restoration Angel. He'll cast it. It will flicker the Big Game Hunter. It'll come back into play, and it will hunt down another Eldrazi. Jeff draws a Path to Exile.
That was a huge swing.
These paths into chords into angels for Jeff have really cleaned things up nicely.
Yeah, this is a thing that Jeff's deck does exceptionally well, better than almost any deck that I've seen in Modern. The longer that the game goes, his inevitability is insane. The Chord of Calling engine, the Restoration Angels with the Eternal Witness. We haven't even seen a Revelark show up to play, but that's another way that he very efficiently just generates an insane amount of value.
So the Thought-Knot Seer is is hunted down. The Path to Exile takes care of Eldrazi Displacer. Gerry now just with 2 Scions will have to untap and start again.
Yeah, Jeff not attacking for a lot with that Prime Mage. Again, his board is like not very powerful in terms of actually creatures that can attack.
In terms of power, right?
Right. Eternal Witness just trades with a Scion. That's not a great attack. Probably would have sent in the Courser, but then the Prime Mage would just trade with the 2 Scions, so that's not great.
And Gerry's reloading. A 5/5 on this one and a Drowner of Hope are the plays. And this is some of the strength of Eldrazi. When you think about it, on its surface, Eldrazi is just a beatdown deck. And there are so few beatdown decks that can go toe-to-toe in the late game with anyone else, really.
Right. Yeah. Jeff's game plan in this matchup is to just try to 1-for-1, keep pace with Gerry in the early game, and Gerry is going to have a lot of trouble keeping up in the late game. This is what Jeff's deck does very well.
Jeff draws Wall of Omens. That draws him into Obstinate Baloth. You see just an army of creatures on Hoogland's side of the board. He has 12 in play at the moment.
Yeah, so Gerry's really trying to get another Displacer online here. He does have that Drowner. He has 4 Scions currently in play. Jeff was at 6. He's going to 10, so things are getting pretty dismal for Gerry at this point.
Isn't that one of those cards that if you have 20 creatures or more in play, you win the game?
Epic Struggle?
Yeah.
That feels almost like reminder text. Like, if you have 20 creatures in play, you should have won already.
I mean, look at Jeff right now. He would take an Epic Struggle. It could work.
So that's actually a cycle of cards. There's Chance Encounter, where if you win 10 coin flips, you win the game.
Ooh, that's a good one.
But again, like, if you've won 10 coin flips, like, how are you not doing things that have already won you the game? Like, if you're that lucky, just like play things that result in a bunch of 50% outcomes, making you win the game naturally. Battle of Wits I like, because like having a 200 card library is not conducive to winning games of Magic.
Yeah, there's tension.
Right.
Jeff's turn. A Wall of Omens into a Wall of Omens into a Scavenging Ooze. He'll hit Gerry down to 6. With this many creatures, you just feel like Drowner of Hope may not be able to break this board stall anymore.
Right. Gerry is able to activate Eye, so perhaps trying to activate Displacer. Also thinking about whether Displacer is even good enough here.
If he had an unlimited number of turns, it could create enough value to win, but I don't know that it can. Yeah, he's going to get Eldrazi Sky Spawner.
That does not look to be anywhere near good enough to crack this game open. It chump blocks Restoration Angel. It's clear that Gerry is up to something. You know, this game has used 20 minutes of the round clock, and he's not just conceding.
Well, I think if you're in Gerry's spot, what he's doing is searching up Sky Spawner and hoping to top deck Displacer. If he can get the two of them in play, the Sky Spawner can hold off a Restoration Angel.
Yeah, having both is definitely better than having one.
So he plays Sky Spawner, gets a 4th Scion, and he'll pass. He's not actually dead at the moment. He can continue to try to tap Gerry's flyer. We'll pass back over to Jeff.
This is a nice, clean-looking board state right now.
Yeah, it's... Despite the fact that Jeff has 16 creatures in play, he hasn't necessarily won. Scavenging Ooze is going to go after the graveyards now, making its way up to a 4/4. Jeff will untap. His draw is going to be Court of Calling.
Court of Calling at any stage beyond the early game is by far the best card in Jeff's deck.
And Gerry, I think now that he sees the court on top of the deck, he's going to go ahead and Path to Exile away the Spellskite. He doesn't want Jeff searching up a land, and Jeff will decline to search here.
Right. Jeff has more than enough mana, and shuffling away that court just does not make any sense.
Only one Spellskite in Jeff's list, so Gerry has exiled that piece as well.
Okay, so now the Drowner is live for tapping other creatures, so that is some headway. He only has to tap about 30, 40 creatures on Jeff's side at this stage in the game.
Well, he has a lot of blockers. Jeff had a sacrifice outlet to that Haunt on Orzhov Pontiff could clean up the board. Don't believe he does have effects like that, though.
No Viscera Seers here, not Kitchen Finks combo. Opting for Lone Missionary as his way to gain life.
Here's Court of Calling from Jeff. Yet again, it's going to be Pia and Kieran Nalaar. Jeff's with Gerry at 2. That's going to go ahead and clean it up. Game 1 goes over to Jeff Hoogland and Kiki Cord.
Yeah, finding the Pia was a way to win the game outside of combat, which makes the matter rather trivial.
Took nearly all the creatures in Jeff's deck to get through that one, but he was able to take care of the Eldrazi. He is up a game, and we'll go overhead and look at the sideboards. Starting on Gerry Thompson's side, he's got Grofdigger's Cages, Rest in Peace, Stony Silence, Gutshot, Oblivion Sower, Vesuva, and Oblivion Ring.
Cage looks quite strong against Jeff's deck. I imagine we'll be seeing that one come in. Gutshot as well to stop those Birds of Paradise starts. You know, that way Gerry is the only one that can effectively make fast mana if he draws the Gutshot to the birds. I don't think we'll be seeing Vesuva here as much as I would like to see it. Oblivion Ring seems a little slow against Jeff's deck. It is an option. It does exile, and something that Jeff's deck does very well is recur things from the graveyard, so it is a consideration.
Yeah, for Jeff Hoogland's side, we look at his sideboard. He has a smattering of one-ofs of creatures. Spellskite, Scavenging Ooze, Virex Invoker, Eidolon of Rhetoric, Sin Collector, Shriekmaw. We like Shriekmaw in the matchup?
I think that this matchup is actually why we're playing Shriekmaw. Like, I don't know if this card was playable in Modern until the Eldrazi deck came around, because there was a big concern about putting the cards like this in your deck just because it destroys non-black, non-artifact creatures. You know you're going to get paired against Affinity. You want something that can actually go toe-to-toe with them. Shriekmaw, due to the Devoid mechanic and the colorless creatures, it actually is just a 2-mana removal spell for anything in Gerry's deck. Leaves behind a 3/2 unblockable if you can actually kick it, as it were. Make that 5-mana 3/2 with Fear, I guess Intimidate.
Yeah.
That one's definitely coming in. We have seen Jeff bring in Lightning Helix against the Eldrazi deck. It's just a way to interact with Mimics in the early game so you don't just get run over. Dismember also is great here. It trades with anything, barring a gigantic Endless one.
Gerry Thompson, part of the Team Roanoke crew, no stranger to the Open Series. at 31. Originally from Minnesota, up in Elk River. 18 Open Series top 8s, 5 wins, 6 Invitational top 8s, and 2 wins of one of the really the most dominant players here on the Open Series.
I would go so far to say if you don't know who Gerry Thompson is, you are the stranger to the Open Series. He's just, in many ways, the face of the tour.
Yeah, one of the things about Gerry, always leading an interesting life. Currently practicing partner acrobatics. Something I didn't know.
Talking to Gerry Thompson is one of my favorite things to do, just like in life in general. He's an extremely interesting human being, very wide range of just like things he does and is interesting in. Magic, of course, probably being the thing that he is best at.
Certainly has been one thing that's kept him the longest.
Right.
We're underway with game 2. Gerry starting out on Flooded Strand. Jeff once again with a turn 1 Birds of Paradise. Now, I do want to point out something here. This has been it's been a slow evolution if you watch Jeff Hoogland stream or talk with him about Modern. He's registered a 62-card main deck for the tournament today. And a lot of that for Jeff is that there are just enough one-of creatures in his deck that he found that the number of cards he wanted to play in his deck was just going over 60.
Yeah, I think that he's been reading a few too many Ben Rubin articles.
Well, to be fair, there actually is another player who used to advocate for this kind of thing, and that's the player sitting across for Jeff Hoogland. If you know your Magic history, back during the days of Mystical Teachings, a very similar deck, Gerry advocated playing a 62 or 63 card Mystical Teachings deck because there were so many one-ofs he wanted to find.
I just don't think I could possibly get on board with that. I would like find a reason or just like a specific silver bullet that the matchup was so uncommon that I could just put it in my sideboard. But, you know, more power to Jeff. It's working out so far. He is 8-1. And, of course, Gerry Thompson, I'm sure, had success with that Teachings deck as well.
So Jeff's turn 1 Birds was shot down by a Dismember. For Gerry Thompson, he plays an Eldrazi Displacer. Jeff just replaces the Birds with 2 more Birds of Paradise on the second turn. We move back over to Hoogland's third turn. Gerry only had an attack on turn 3, but then he played a card out of the sideboard of one of his Grafdigger's Cages, which figures to be pretty good against a card like Court of Calling.
Not very good against Reclamation Sage, however.
Wow.
That's pretty big for Jeff.
And Jeff, out of the sideboard, casting Reclamation Sage, hits Grafdigger's Cage. A nice next level play. There actually are no targets for that card in Gerry's main deck.
Yeah. Presumably he's aware of the list. There are things you see out of Eldrazi, things like Worship, I suppose, that he could be prepared for. I'm sure that Jeff has played against other blue-white Eldrazi builds on the weekend.
And this is forcing Gerry to posture into a very aggressive line. He Path to Exiles away the Wall of Roots to make way for the Eldrazi Displacer and hits Jeff down to 14.
Yeah, I would... Path to Exile on a mana creature is nothing short of a scrappy play. Gerry is trying to find those percentages anywhere that he can get them.
Lightning Helix from Hoogland hits Eldrazi Displacer. Correction, Jeff at 11, but looking to go back up to 14 with this Lightning Helix.
So turn 1 Birds against turn 1 Dismember was actually the highlight of Gerry's position in this game. Every single interaction after that has favored Hoogland in a big way.
Yeah, double Birds on the next turn really downplayed the first turn. You see here Thompson is going to Path to Exile his own Eldrazi Displacer in response to the Lightning Helix. And what's happening here is Gerry's just burning through his cards at a breakneck speed, and you have to think he just can't keep pace if this keeps happening.
The hope for Gerry is that he's able to just put together Smasher into Drowner and that Jeff is just stuck on 2-1s and he's able to run him over.
Yeah, I don't see it. Jeff, after the Lightning Helix, plays Eternal Witness to get back the instant. We go Gerry Thompson, his hand. Another Eye of Ugin, a Path to Exile, and a Drowner of Hope.
That is not an ideal mix. He has a land that could theoretically get him to 6, but he can't play it, of course, because it's legendary, so he's just stuck doing nothing.
Swing with the 2-1s for Jeff. We'll put Gerry down to 6. A pair of Voice of Resurgences are his play. We go to over to Thompson. He hits his 6th mana, can play Drowner of Hope, but I don't think it's going to be enough here.
Yeah, this card is kind of aptly named. Either it's in play and you're drowning your opponent's hope, or you're staring at it in your hand and your own hope is being drowned.
Well, he gets it into play. We'll see if it can keep him above water on life totals. I don't... or whether he'll be drowned.
We really reached for that one.
Thank you.
I think we got there.
Here come the 2 Voice of Resurgences. One of them will get blocked. One will go through.
Gerry's life total is extremely low. Part of it was that fetch for untapped duel for Dismember. Doesn't take a lot of...
Taking 7 on the first turn.
It doesn't take a lot of pressure from Jeff to wrap up a game like that.
Jeff is going to play Phyrexian Revoker, naming the Drowner of Hope.
That might just lock this game up.
No taps on Gerry's side.
Gerry still have Path to Exile, but now Jeff has a giant Voice of Resurgence token, and he is obliged to target the 2/1 creature with the Path.
Certainly not what he wanted to be doing with the spell. Hoogland, just 1 card left, but he does have that Elemental token from Voice of Resurgence. Keep in mind, it's a 7/7 at the moment.
That's bigger than most Eldrazi.
Yeah, Gerry, I'm wondering if he can afford to just path away the Elemental. And he'll have to. Targets it there. Their Phyrexian Revoker gets to stay in place. So Drowner of Hope, just a large creature, and now it's going to attack.
Yeah, Gerry was probably considering the possibility of pathing the Revoker and then just tapping the large creatures. But it seems unclear that he can actually make any headway with that line.
Well, he's got to be playing towards some sort of line where he draws Eldrazi Displacer, I would think.
Right. And like we saw him navigate game 1, he wants to have as many Scions already in tow when he gets that active.
Post-combat, an Eldrazi Mimic for Gerry Thompson.
And that is the other thing about Displacer plus Drowner. Even when Drowner is revoked, the 1/1s still block everything in Jeff's deck. They make a perfectly fine chump blocker.
And here's a swing with the team for Jeff. We know there's a Lightning Helix in hand. If one of these 2/2s gets through plus that Helix, it should be lethal. Gerry will block all the creatures, let Voice of Resurgence through. And Jeff knows that if there's an instant from Gerry, it would result in Jeff getting an Elemental token.
It would also result in Gerry losing life. He only has Caves of Koilos untapped.
And here's Lightning Helix, and that will be game and match for Jeff Hoogland with Kiki Cord. He improves to 9-1, winning the first round in the day over Gerry Thompson's Blue-White Eldrazi deck.
I imagine we should be seeing an Oath of Jeff Hoogland, the fifth member of the Gatewatch.
I liked the Kiki Jiki, you know, the little 4 planeswalkers up and then just picture this little goblin holding up his hand, you know.
I don't know. I think it's like more clear to design what Oath of Jeff would actually do.
Oh, wow, okay.
It would like make all of your creatures into birds. It would be like an upgraded Oath of Nissa, right?